Hollywood W1 platform is the leading entertainment ecosystem based on advanced blockchain technology and smart Web 3.0 infrastructure. W1 platform is capable of high-speed processing in the range of 10,000 transactions per second and offers a highly sophisticated, decentralized blockchain network for secure and accountable financing, production, distribution, and global exploitation of Hollywood films, TV, virtual reality, augmented reality, games, music, and other entertainment content. W1 platform defines a new paradigm in the entertainment industry, enabling a decentralized Hollywood business model with smart contracts and digital right management. W1 platform provides digital IDs to allow filmmakers, TV and internet producers, gamers, and composers, artists, and other entertainment professionals to secure their property rights and to monetize their content and IP in the form of digital assets. W1 platform empowers users with peer-to-peer connectivity, enabling users to conduct desired transactions based on their designated set of rules, all encoded in small contracts. The architecture, design, and business model of W1 platform originated from Hollywood-based Wardour Studios. Innovations of W1 platform combined with its ultra-high-speed blockchain network culminate into an ultimate entertainment ecosystem through which hundreds of millions of users may enjoy and monetize movies with ultra-high definition 4K content, live streaming of TV, concerts, sports, events, catch-up TV, network recording, gaming, as well as VR and AR experience. Imagine the new production and distribution possibilities and the new blockchain-based business models which will emerge on W1 platform. Imagine you, the producer, can monetize your content directly online through W1 platform. Imagine you, the viewer, can enjoy a variety of entertainment without having to subscribe and only by paying a fraction of regular prices on W1 platform. Imagine you, the investor, can venture into the unique and potentially rewarding world of entertainment finance directly online through W1 platform. And imagine you, the talent, can seek and engage in films, TV shows, gaming, music, and all other emerging VR, AR opportunities directly on the W1 platform. So in this way, everybody can win and benefit by simply being a part of W1 community. Because all transactions are conducted through W1 smart contracts, there are no broken promises, no late payments, and no outrageous distribution fees. All transactions are performed securely and promptly and are all authenticated and recorded on W1 platform decentralized blockchain ledger.
That's Hollywood to the blockchain. Over to Neil.
Thanks, Dan. My name is Neil Glass, and I'm a fortunate Canadian who has called Bermuda home since 1990. Just have to look outside, and you can see that even when I have a really bad day at the office, I just say my mantra, no snow, no taxes, US dollars 3 times, and everything's perfect again. So. My background is back in the 90s, I was one of the co-founders of the Bermuda International Film Festival, and about 7 years I was the co-founder of Wishing Step Pictures, and this year I set up Glass Half Full Productions, which is making impact films. We're trying to harness the power of film to make the world a better place. My real life, I'm a CPA, a chartered director, and a fellow of the Institute of Directors. And I've been an executive and non-executive director of Bermuda and other companies for over 20 years. So if any of you are singing the economic substance blues, talk to me later and maybe I can help be part of your solution to solve some of your issues of having substantive management in Bermuda. So what I'd like to do now is just quickly introduce our panel. We'll start with Thibaut. He is the co-founder of Copyright Coins.
Okay. Hi again. Okay, this is a different hat I'm having now. It's I co-founded CopyrightCoins.com 3 years ago, 3 years and a half. We are based today in Estonia, European micro-jurisdiction, part of European Union. And we probably will move to Isle of Man for a reason that I will explain during the panel. And it could be maybe duplicated in Bermuda. And because we are talking about entertainment, the reason why I co-founded that venture is because I am an author myself, and that I wasn't very satisfied by the way I was treated by my publisher, and that led to the setting up of CopyrightCoins.com, but also to another venture, which is CryptoBooks.club, that I can mention because it's relevant. And here, CryptoBooks.club is a platform where you can buy ebooks with your cryptocurrencies. And so we have here two industries, two so-called entertainment industries, music, mainly with CopyrightCoins.com, and books. Both are broken. Both industries are broken when it's about digital age. Those industries cannot cope with digital environment, and that's where blockchain really makes sense. It's an actual solution to an actual systemic problem of an entire industry. That's why it's very
Thanks,
interesting.
Thibaut. Sorry, but we've got to move along because we've got a lot to get through.
I'm a lawyer, so I talk too much.
Next, we have Alison Thompson, who is a producer, director, and cinematographer. And I just have to say, as a charter member of the Male, Pale, Stale, and Frail Club, I'm so thrilled that she ticks a lot of boxes in our diversity goals here. So welcome, Alison.
Thank you. My name is Alison Thompson. I am a Bermudian filmmaker. I've worked both in Bermuda and in New York City, and I have benefited greatly off of blockchain technology. My last film was made and fully funded through blockchain technology.
Fantastic. And next we have Stephen Nia of Wardour.
Thank you, Neil. This is Stephen Nia, chairman of Wardour Studios and W1 platform, the Hollywood blockchain. You heard from Stan that the love affair between Hollywood and blockchain has been going on for 2-3 years. And we are happy to bring you the first child of that love affair that you just saw a little glimpse of it. But I just want to say a couple of things that as we were doing that, we faced tremendous amount of challenges in terms of technology that's needed in order to really implement such a platform. And one of the challenges that we've overcome, which we are now opening up to the blockchain world as a whole, is extremely high transaction processing speeds. We're talking in the tens of thousands of transactions per second, which is totally unheard of. I heard several panel members from the previous panels discussing that the time is not here yet for blockchain to do something real because of the transaction processing. That has been a big, big hurdle. And as a result of what we've done to satisfy our own needs, I think we are able to now offer this as a whole to the blockchain industry.
Great, thank you, Stephen. Next, we've got Ed Mason, and he's with the CEO of Core.Live.
Thank you very much. Hello. So as mentioned, Ed Mason, founder and CEO of Core.Live. We built the world's first XR machine. For those who are not familiar with what XR is, it stands for Extended Reality, which is the umbrella term for virtual and augmented reality. Fundamentally, we built a new kind of computer with a main focus on emerging technologies. We've been watching the blockchain space for a while now. I believe the synergies between a metaverse, a persistent online 3D world used for gaming, and blockchain are quite huge. We've been exploring a few different technologies. We found a few use cases and are working with a few partners behind the scenes to implement some pretty cool blockchain tech in an actual games console for the first time.
Thank you. And next to Ed, we've got Scott Wolff, and he's the co-founder of Multivariate and Clio.
Okay. Yeah, so I
sorry.
think that's a
Max
look.
Wolff, Max Wolff.
Time is precious, and that's a conjunction of myself and the next guy. So I'll give you the sort of boring part, and he'll do the exciting part. And hopefully, even if we're slightly conflated, we're probably true to our own limited contribution. So mine might be the most limited. I think that I have a somewhat tenuous relationship with blockchain, although not zero. I have a partner who's been successful in the space, and I'm intellectually interested in it. I come from a tech background, but I am a financial economist and a former employee of the New York Federal Reserve. So probably all that is unlovable in the world from the audience perspective.
Mention the hedge fund bit as well.
I also worked in the hedge fund industry for a long time, and I'm a professor of economics. So that's probably pretty much a raised earth strategy that I've endeared myself to no one, but honesty should have some residual value, however repugnant. That notwithstanding, I am a fan of emerging technologies and their application. That's what I did in the hedge fund space, also in the venture capital space, and our tenuous, although not non-existent, claim to relationship to the other folks on the panel, other than to call them friends and be honored to be among them, would be that we have built, among several things in Multivariate, basically we build custom highly systematic solutions for esoteric asset investment. So we started out replicating global macro hedge funds using only ETFs, charging 90 basis points and allowing our clients to go to cash in 72 hours with full transparency to every position. So we started out doing something esoteric with the data science and the macro backgrounds that the team has. I'm only one piece of the team. We graduated from that to Clio, which is why we're here. And Clio was an attempt to use machine learning and big data to forecast the audience response and likely profitability of motion pictures before the first day of shooting begins. And so we built a 310,000 film database, crawled it with a host of nonlinear techniques, and have gotten to a pretty good partial explanation of the world of film forecasting. So using quantitative systems to front-run qualitative outcomes is a fool's errand. We were the right fools. We thought the technology was good enough to partially hide the imbecile nature of our approach. And lo and behold, it turned out it was less dumb than what we had been paid money to do before in the financial industry. And if we can be less dumb and stop working for the large institutions that previously employed us, we figured we better take the money and run before anyone figured it out. So we have done that. We're up and running. We work mostly with film investors, a few of whom have raised their film funds on the blockchain, which is our other tenuous, although not non-existent, claim to factual relevance and belonging, whatever that means.
Okay, thanks, Max. And I just have to say, I know there's a few creatives in the audience, and they look pretty disgusted by what you were saying, so I think we might have some interesting discussions later with the audience. But thank you. And last but not least, we have Scott Moskowitz, who's an inventor and an entrepreneur.
Yes, I actually started as an undergraduate, as the first intern at Sony way back in 1990. And from there, I became an inventor, trading. First, I was trading consumer goods in Japan, and developed over a period of about 10 years in the old days when we called it digital rights management, technologies like digital watermarking, content recognition, packet tracing, ASLR, product license keys, and the like. And so I've had on and off experience not only with the underlying cryptography, which we used to call crypto, but also experiences in the music business, having been involved in massive amounts of CD sales all the way through streaming media. And so I'm here today to speak about music and the industry and its relationship with blockchain.
Thank you, and I just have to say, Scott has by far the coolest business card I've ever seen, so if you don't have one, get one. It's going to be a collector's item someday. Okay, so the reason we're here is we want to really discuss how new technologies can be used and have an impact on creators, distributors, users, and investors in the entertainment industry. I can tell you, back in the 90s, when I was a co-founder of the Bermuda International Film Festival, films used to come, and they were these really expensive reels that had to be made, and then you had to ship them, which is also very expensive. Being in Bermuda, for some reason, I would say probably 10% of the films that were supposed to be screened here would end up in Barbuda, Bahamas, Belize, anywhere but Bermuda. So it was the digitization of film and music, it was really the first wave of major change. And I think right now, we're just going into the second wave, and that's what we're going to discuss. So we'll start things off with Stephen. Stephen, we've seen the video on the W1 platform, so we know. So just really briefly, if you want to give us some highlights.
Sure. You saw the basic premise of W1 platform, so I will not repeat what you already saw on video. But I just want to point out some unique aspects of the platform, and particularly unique aspects of the entertainment system. Traditionally, Hollywood and entertainment system,
I think you've cut out.
Business have been fairly closed communities. It's not like every other business that just because you have money, you can invest or whatever, or if you have a good looks or very pretty, you can be in there and be an actress or whatever. It's a very closed environment, and probably purposefully so for almost 100 years. I think one of the most important aspects of W1 platform is that for the first time, it enables every producer and everyone with talent to actually share that in a monetizable way. Today you can upload to YouTube. Of course you can do that. But monetizing it becomes a whole different problem. But if you take Netflix with a high quality 4K delivery, add to it YouTube, and add to it Facebook or something similar to that, which allows peer-to-peer connectivity, then you have W1 platform. So you can imagine the monetization engine and the capabilities to open the entertainment business to the public at large, whether you are an actor or a producer or just a viewer or investor, is tremendously, tremendously and incredibly, I think, powerful in many ways. So,
so if you could just tell us quickly, Stephen, how then does the W1 platform enable producers and viewers to fund and to monetize?
Very good question. Let's just take a simple example. Let's say you have a film that the easy one is you have a film already done and you want to stream it and monetize it. So you upload the film on the platform, you enter into a smart contract, which is a high-level smart contract. That's another innovation that we have. Right now, if you want to do a smart contract, you have to hire a bunch of programmers to actually write a smart contract. But with our system, the users can actually go through a formatted process to define what they want to get for their movie, how much per stream they want to charge, for example, 10 cents, 50 cents, $1, whatever, and how they want that money to be distributed. All go to me. Of course, some goes to the platform, and maybe my writer gets a little bit, my investor gets a little bit. All of that goes in. That's it. You upload. From that moment forward, automatically and instantaneously, those proceeds will be obtained from the users and will be distributed to the right people.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Stephen. Next, let's move on to Max, also known as Scott. Max, can you tell us how the new technologies which are changing the ways assets are moved, stored, and shared can be used for IP creation?
Yeah, so what drew us to the space other than a large family office legacy client that was interested, just being honest, that's always helpful. But what drew us to the space separate and apart from that as a boutique shop with a bunch of mandates was that there was every reason to believe we were in an under data penetrated but disrupted space, right? So the way people consume content in the streaming video and video world has changed. The form factor has changed. The tastes have changed. So you're looking for a much more global audience. You're looking to a millennial audience, which has changed preference. You're watching 5 to 7 minutes multiple times a day. You're consuming more, and you're consuming increasingly on a mobile device, right? So all the parameters shifted, and a disruptive technology usually meets with less entrenched resistance when it bumps into a disrupted market based on our research and our past investment experience. So we liked those parameters. We also had access to creatives in the industry. So the large family offices that came to us were family offices associated with A-list Hollywood actors. So we had someone to help us in the domain, which we always look for, to sort of partially offset the profound depth of our ignorance as to film, right? So we did at least realize that was a potential impediment. So obviously, it's not the sort of dark and evil hand trying to crush the creative, although we've heard that before. Basically, what we did is do 310,000 films, everything that ran for more than 5 days in a theater in the Anglophone world, a major country in the last 35 years we have. And so we can do attribution, we can see everything you've ever done and basically everything ever done by a producer, director, actor, writer, actress, editing company, and genre and budget. Those tend to be the key variables. We run them against each other. And part of what we're doing is trying to actually make this opportunity set broader, because about 15% of films these days do all the returns work, and about 60% of films don't return their budget. So we're not trying to pick content. We're not trying to tamper the pure artistry of Saw 7 or whatever people are spending their money on now, or The Hangover Part 8 in the world we live in now. That's up to the market, right? We're just trying to give you some idea of how audiences and how box office will work with your films. And particularly audiences big as we move to streaming, and we've been interested to learn that our unpredictable relationships with films are actually much more predictable than lots of things that you rely on predictions for every day. So it was fun to be among the first group to do it, because we got to claim the obvious stuff as our insight.
Okay, thank you. And I guess all of us in the entertainment industry know that there's incredibly long odds of success on a project, but if you do tick all the boxes, you can have incredibly high returns. So I guess that's really the benefit of Clio. You can help people before they've spent the money make sure they've got the right team assembled.
Yeah, so what we thought was the opportunity from a sort of our enterprise approach was basically people have attempted to do limited data science in the space, most of it about audience mapping. So the general model is get producers, directors, actress, actor, writer who've done this before, throw some money at them, and then do all the science and the big spend on trying to put butts in the chairs with a finished product. And it occurred to us that maybe investing a little bit of insight into what you're going to make could be interesting, right? That's pretty much the simple side of it.
Great, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to Ed Mason, who, like me, is an expat that figured out Bermuda is a good place to be. And first off, can you tell us how blockchain can benefit VR?
Absolutely, thank you. So virtual reality and blockchain, I mentioned there's a lot of synergy between the two. If anyone here knows what a metaverse is, it's the nerdy word for an online persistent 3D world that multiple users can sort of get along with inside of. There have been a number of these platforms developing, but all of them are isolated at the moment. You have your PlayStation ecosystems locked to one device, you have your PC ecosystems locked to another. What we're doing at Core is building a device that can play any XR content on any XR display, effectively allowing users to get together on one platform, regardless of what headset, what controller, what display they may be using, and leverage the technology we've been developing. Now, these metaverses, and if we look at the games industry in general, we've seen a huge trend towards microtransactions, towards purchasing skins, towards doing a whole lot of stuff that effectively is purchasing assets inside a virtual world. So we've been exploring the possibilities and doing some R&D, working with a few different companies who are exploring bringing blockchain technology into video games themselves. And I believe with the advent of virtual and augmented reality, which is already a huge multi-billion-dollar industry, we feel that to be able to support these developers who are focusing on building blockchain game applications, give them an ecosystem and some hardware that they can run off of, we will be able to leverage the publicity that VR and AR will be getting along with blockchain and make the two a match made in heaven.
So you're saying that anyone with a smartphone can basically, you don't need all the hardware?
So we've focused, the XR space today is powered by two kinds of devices. Users really have to choose. Do they want to spend a lot of money to have a high-end experience that they're then tethered to in a mobile device like a PC or a games console, or do they want to have a cheap experience that's quite low-end that would be powered by a mobile phone? What we've done at Core.Live is build a computer that is powerful enough to give you the high-end experience, but with the portability and the price point of a mobile device. So effectively allowing you to, if you want to take a PlayStation 4 VR headset or a PC VR headset that up until now you've needed a multi-$1,000 machine to power, you can now plug it onto a device that you wear on your person. And so this opens up a lot of possibilities for blockchain tech, having this local horsepower on you. So I think the two will go hand in hand.
So then what can VR do to help blockchain develop?
I think, as most people are probably aware, what we really need is utility for blockchain for cryptos to really take off. And I think to be able to have a native device that would support blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies will be a catalyst for a much wider adoption.
Okay, thank you, Ed. So next, we're going to move on to Alyson. So Alyson, can you tell us, how did you fund a film using blockchain?
So the crew and I was a producer. We were very lucky to have met a company called Singular DTV, which is now Breaker. And Singular DTV had just created an app called Tokit. So they were new to this, and well, new to this app, and we were very new to having any sort of financing for our film. So we took a chance. We were their guinea pigs, and we were able to tokenize the film and have a private fundraising event that raised enough in crypto. It was converted into US dollars, and we had $50,000 to pay an entire cast and crew to make a short film. And that film has gone on into the festival cycle all across America. On Sunday, it will actually be shown in Brooklyn at our first Oscar qualifying festival, which is very exciting.
Okay, and let's see a clip of the film.
Yep, I have a clip. Would you like me to just introduce it? Yes. Okay. So I do have.
Sorry, yeah, here's the clip. Sorry.
Officer, I was just going to show you. We have our visas in the bag.
Please.
Okay. What's going on?
Okay.
It's in the bag.
Yep. فاطمة لوين أخذيني؟
I need you to wait. Where is he taking it? Sammy!
Promise you.
Where is he taking my brother? Sammy! This is my brother. We're together.
Come with me.
Need your cell phone or any electronic device on the table, please.
This is not necessary. I am not armed. I see no reason for these.
Yeah, well, I do see a reason, and you'll remain handcuffed until I say otherwise. Ms. Slyman, what's your purpose for coming to the United States?
Sammy and I came to join my father, Tariq Sliman, who lives here now. Officer, where did they take my brother? He did nothing wrong.
I asked the questions here. You got it?
I'm sorry, Alyson, I should have let you do a quick intro. So do you want to do that and then tell us where we can see the rest of the film?
Sure. So it is called Detained, and it is a short film. It's only 9 minutes in total. You just saw the first 2 minutes. And the film is about a pair of sibling refugees attempting to reunite with their father in the United States, and they came into the States on the exact day that the travel ban was enacted.
Okay, thank you. And is there any way for the audience to see it, or do they have to go to a festival at this point?
Right now, you would have to go to a festival. It is in the festival circuit. If you're in New York on Sunday, you can totally see it.
Awesome. And which festival? Is that at Chelsea, or where? Is that at the Chelsea Film Festival, or where is it?
It's at the Alamo Draft House Theater in Brooklyn.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Excellent, thank you. Okay, so moving along, next we have Scott Moskowitz. And Scott, I know you've got some pretty strong views, so why isn't blockchain helping the music industry?
Who doesn't have strong views? It's your constitution. So I guess the two questions that I was asked was, one, how could blockchain help the music industry? And one of the main limitations is the speed at which streaming and other types of items are being served up in the music space. So blockchain would probably reach its limit. I mean, processing perhaps is about nine or so transactions per second. Where you have millions of streams, you end up in a situation where it's most likely that the accounting would actually exceed the value of what you're actually accounting for. The bigger and greater issue in the music business happens to be the distribution for artists. Currently, they make about 12% of the revenues, and giving the creatives more as opposed to the platforms, which suck most of the creative juice out, it would be a much greater effort at that. The last thing is just the music industry in general is not a very transparent industry to begin with. And there's an old saying in a lot of these things, including blockchain, which is, I want my stuff to be anonymous, but I want everyone else's stuff to be transparent. Where it could work is in things like performing rights organizations, which are generally set up country to country. There have been attempts over the past 20 years, things like Grid and others, which are to pay out mechanicals and performance rights. That has far more transparency, but all the efforts that have been attempted in this space have fallen short because the stakeholders simply don't want it to happen. If you want any of the references, by the way, there's 18 references that I used to kind of form the opinions here. Just look at my Twitter account at Moskowitz, Moskowitz.
And I think, Stan, you can maybe make them available on Hub Culture website as well.
That way you can kind of follow kind of the arguments in the music business, the arguments being made by various governments, including NIST, as well as the EU, how they look at blockchain, and then finally what cryptographers themselves say when it comes to applications of specific use cases and business cases.
Okay, thank you. And I know that Max also has some information he'd like to share with the audience, so he'll talk to you, Stan, about getting that up. Great, thank you. And last but not least, we've got Thibaut. And first of all, can you tell me why you think music is the perfect use case for blockchain, sort of differing from our last speaker, perhaps?
I don't think that we are in disagreement because we have the same understanding of the problems of the industry. And in the case of copyrightcoins.com, this is a permissioned blockchain, it's not a public blockchain. So that ensures the degree of scalability that we need for the number of transactions that we are supposed to process. And what we are doing is a copyright management system using blockchain for the immutability and of the technology, and that provides what the industry needs, because I said that this is a broken industry in the digital age. It is, because even if you are a big name in the industry like Adele or whatever, and you have to wait up to 3 years to get paid when there is a stream being played by Spotify, for instance, and 60% of the fees are being paid to intermediaries, mainly collecting societies, and a big portion of the works, and like on YouTube or Facebook, are not even identified correctly by the collecting societies. So you have some major collecting societies, like in France, SACEM every year, about 150 million euros are not attributed to anyone because they cannot identify the authors. And
so what's the solution?
So the solution is a blockchain technology is a good solution. Of course, we have the scalability problem when it's a public blockchain, but it's not an issue with a private blockchain. And so the key question is first the registration of the works, the ability to identify the copyright owners, and that can be done through a blockchain-based register. That's what Copyright Coins is providing, and what we call copyright ID and copyright shares. So
have you talked to Scott about his digital watermarking he invented, or?
What?
Scott invented digital watermarking, possibly be a solution?
Yeah, but there are probably about 10 solutions now that actually try to fix the music industry using blockchain. Copyright Coins is not the only one. It's just that the platform is up and running, and that the team is coming from the music industry itself. So the chairman is the former chairman of PRS, the Ukulele Collecting Society. So the team is key in a project like this.
Okay, thank you. And now, no pressure, but we've got a lot of government people in the audience and a lot of policy advisors to the government. So, and I know you have a Bermuda company. Can you tell us what Bermuda could do to become a world center for digital IP?
It's a good question, but just my thought about this is that if you look at European Union, we came up in Europe with the so-called copyright directive, and which in a way is even worse than the GDPR, the devilish GDPR.
And here we have which is the equivalent.
Because for the tech giants, it's a nightmare, the copyright directive, because it's mandatory for them now in 2 years to identify the copyright owners of every content which is uploaded by the users. And if they can't identify and get the consent, possibly pay them royalties, they have to block that content. So it's a nightmare, because how can you do it without a system where you are sure about the identity of every content or every content owner? And that's where the blockchain technology can play a role. And so what we are advocating for with copyrightcoins.com is jurisdictions that would make mandatory registration of copyright content, the same way that that shares of company must be registered, because we believe, and let's have a look at what it could resemble in a few years when you will digitize everything, including IP content, when you can tokenize IP content, and if you don't regulate it the same way you regulate securities, you will end up in a situation with a massive amount of money laundering. Okay. And so it's important to regulate, indeed, registration of digital content, digital IP, especially now with the advent of blockchain. That makes it possible.
Okay, thank you. So Thibault has a lot of thoughts on this area, so I'd encourage the members of the government's advisory board and the government to catch him during one of the breaks and get more information. So I know the panel is itching to ask each other some questions, and I think we've got some questions in the audience. How much time do we have? 5, okay. So Stephen looks like he's...
Yeah, I wanted to just take issue with a couple of things that were just mentioned. The argument that blockchain processes 9 or 10 or 100 transactions per second, that no longer really exists. Not even counting what we are doing, which is in tens of thousands of transactions per second. I think I repeated this, but maybe it's a little bit hard to believe, so it just went by the wayside. Also, even among the traditional blockchain infrastructures, even Ethereum with a Lightning Network now, and EOS with about 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second. So that area is coming up, and that area is already being conquered. And as I said, we are very, very happy that we've broken several tens of thousand transactions per second in a tested laboratory demonstration. So it's not just our claim. Okay. So number one. Number two, in terms of...
point, so make it quick.
Yeah, in terms of the copyright ownership, I think digital rights management is really the key. Okay. Digital rights management, which can be easily implemented within the blockchain, and it's actually hand-in-glove type of a technology, is really the key to manage that and get rid of all the intermediaries, so artists can actually get a lion's share of the money as opposed to 12% or whatever.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on the panel have anything they'd like to add before we open it up? Okay, Scott?
It's not that you're doing it in a controlled environment, it's the fact that there's not enough bandwidth to actually process a transaction that's not worth the bandwidth it's being used for. It's an accounting problem. It's also a physical limitation problem. There's only so fast that light can travel over fiber, and so there's only so many transactions you can do. When you have millions of streams going over multiple different environments, it's not possible to keep track of all of it simply by logging onto a blockchain, private or otherwise. It's an argument of accounting more than anything else. If you register things with secure digital watermarks, you have an open registry, you can do watermarking as service, you can create the copy, you can start doing registrations here in Bermuda to help copyright owners, et cetera. That would speed things up much faster, but it still remains that most of the industry, at least on the music side, is very non-transparent, which is what blockchain is designed to address.
Okay, I think you two need to have a discussion over lunch and sort this out.